You have definitely never seen such an intense wilderness survival challenge. A pair of strangers, a man and a woman, stand completely naked facing each other. No clothing on their bodies. No food. No water, teaming up to survive in the wilderness. As long as they can last 21 days in the wild, they can win $1 million prize. The female contestant in this episode is named Sarah. She is 25 years old. From Honolulu, Hawaii. She is a diving instructor. As a professional diver, Sarah has mastered all kinds of underwater skills. She is extremely proficient. Her deepest free dive record is 18 meters. She is very familiar with various types of fish and marine life. Sarah considers herself a bit of an oddball, because she enjoys playing games that most people wouldn't. Others think she is too naive. Sarah wants to use this challenge as a way to prove that she is stronger than the version of herself she perceives, smarter and more capable. The male contestant is named Ben. He is 28 years old, from Atlanta, Georgia. He was once a Navy SEAL. Now, he is a private security contractor. The Navy SEALs are different from other military units. The SEALs require their members to be able to handle the toughest challenges in any situation. To outsiders, Ben appears cold and ruthless. But Ben doesn't care at all what others think of him. By taking on this challenge, he wants to use this opportunity to fully immerse himself in a mission, to seriously reflect on what he should do now that he is retired. The challenge location for this episode is at the northwestern tip of the West Indies, where the Atlantic Ocean meets the Caribbean Sea. The temperature here can rise up to 38 degrees Celsius, 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The waters are home to a wide variety of marine creatures: ferocious barracudas, aggressive yellowtail snappers, venomous stonefish, and swarms of bloodthirsty predators, including the deadly tiger shark. These apex predators can grow up to nearly 8 meters long, weighing as much as 862 kilograms. They have razor-sharp serrated teeth and powerful jaws. They are extremely fierce predators. The production team dropped the two contestants separately into the vast ocean. After placing them in their designated water zones, they officially entered the most crucial phase of the challenge, embracing nature. Sarah looked at the small lifeboat floating in the distance. For a moment she was stunned. Without saying a word, she quickly stripped down. Sarah immediately entered challenge mode and swam straight towards the lifeboat. Ben also didn't waste words. He swiftly got rid of the burden of his clothes and jumped into the water, heading toward the distant lifeboat. Once they each climbed onto their lifeboats, upon meeting for the first time, the two shook hands, exchanging their names. But given the dire situation they were facing, they couldn't find land soon. They would be left drifting at sea, waiting for death. So they didn't waste time getting to know each other further. They first took stock of their supplies and the lifeboat. They had paddles, but whether or not to use them was another question. Each was also given one survival tool. Ben had brought a machete. Sarah had chosen a freediving mask. They also had a map provided by the production team. According to the map, they had to start their survival journey from the lifeboat, equipped with a water scoop, some water, and other small items. They could dismantle parts of the boat to use for upcoming challenges. Ben and Sarah needed to manually paddle the lifeboat for 11 kilometers to an uninhabited island in the Exuma Islands. There the coastline was jagged, lined with sharp coral and poisonous plants. The barren land had almost no resources. Most importantly, fresh water had been scorched away by the relentless sun. With their goal set, they began the first day of their challenge. Ben mentioned that during his time in the SEALs, he had done similar survival missions all over the world. Sarah was excited that Ben had a military background. She was curious about his experiences. Ben said he usually didn't talk much about them. Since he was part of a secret unit, he preferred staying silent and getting the job done. With that, they continued tirelessly paddling their lifeboat. As the sun began to set, they started to panic because the sharks in this area were mostly nocturnal hunters. They hurriedly sped up their paddling, hoping to reach land as soon as possible. By nightfall, they were still paddling tirelessly at around 8:30 p.m., but there was still no island in sight. This was also peak hunting time for sharks. Exhausted, they could only nervously continue paddling. They paddled non-stop throughout the night. Only when dawn broke the next day did they finally reach the small island. Upon landing, they immediately searched for fresh water. Sarah brushed against a tree and soon felt her skin start to itch. They took a closer look and realized that not only was the tree poisonous, but most of the surrounding plants were also highly toxic. They decided to return to the lifeboat and look for another island. After paddling for most of the day, around 11 a.m., they finally found a new island. Upon arrival, they first explored the surroundings. At around 12 noon, the two found a source of clean fresh water. After being thirsty for so long, now that they had fresh water, they immediately crouched down and drank eagerly to rehydrate. Around 5 p.m., they chose a campsite, flipping the lifeboat over to use as a shelter. Having gone an entire day and night without sleep, they crawled into the lifeboat and went straight to sleep. At around 8:30 p.m., they were completely unable to sleep due to insect bites. Moving into day 3, Sarah had been bitten all over her body by insects. She was covered in wounds. Sarah was extremely uncomfortable, making a face like she had seen a durian, but Ben remained completely unfazed. After waking up, he drank his fill of water, completely satiated. He no longer felt hungry. Moving into day 4, Sarah complained that her skin was still itching from the insect bites. Ben simply ignored the discomfort from the bites. He told Sarah, surviving in the wild was never meant to be easy. He completely dismissed Sarah's complaints. To him, it was all Sarah's problem and had nothing to do with him. He felt zero responsibility for it. Moving into day 5, after going hungry for so many days, Sarah decided to put her diving skills to good use. She went into the ocean to catch anything edible. While diving, Sarah spotted several large barracudas, but considering that barracudas could easily bite off her fingers, she decided against catching them. She strategically retreated. At around 9 a.m., Sarah returned to camp with a large sea snail. Ben said that he wasn't nearly hungry enough to eat a sea snail. Sarah, on the other hand, believed that anything edible and full of protein was a good thing. She smashed the shell open and ate it raw. She took a few bites, but the taste was quite strong. 3 girls home. Yeah. Oh. It's gonna be fun. It's fun, it's good. Okay. Ben declared that he would never eat a snail, saying he would rather make a fire and cook a lobster instead. He was determined to live like a king on the island. At around 9 a.m., Ben started gathering materials to craft a fire-starting drill. Ben was highly experienced in this skill. Seeing Ben's fire drill, Sarah couldn't help but praise his craftsmanship. At around 10 a.m., after preparing everything needed for survival, Ben eagerly started the fire-making process. He imagined himself feasting on lobster like a king. After repeated attempts and effort, he still failed to start a fire. Moving into day 7, Ben continued his efforts to make fire. What if you put some goopy leaves in your rock pit? There, nope. Does it hurt that this is twisted? No. Moving into day 8, you're gonna hold this rock. Barely hold it, yeah. So this has got to be able to move less pressure. Just still less pressure still. I don't know if I can get it, you're right. Yeah, I'll have to hold the rock, okay. Despite their teamwork, their fire-making efforts still ended in failure. Moving into day 9, Ben kept trying to start a fire, but the results were repeatedly disappointing. Originally, he had hoped to spend 21 days enjoying a tropical paid vacation, but now he couldn't even make a fire. After multiple attempts, Ben was completely drained of energy. He decided to wait until the next day to try again. At around 8 p.m., Sarah discovered that both sides of the lifeboat were leaking air. With no other options, she had to manually blow air into the lifeboat. Meanwhile, Ben decided to soak in the water to avoid getting bitten by mosquitoes at dusk. After dark, Sarah continued inflating the lifeboat every now and then. Unclear phrase. Moving into day 11, Ben was still frustrated over the fire situation. Sarah went into the ocean to search for food, hoping to catch something that would benefit both of them. She wanted to prove her worth. Before long, the sky suddenly began to pour rain. Luckily, the rain didn't last too long. By around 11:30 a.m., the sun was shining again. Sarah happily returned to camp with 3 large sea snails. Bring it home to bacon. However, Ben showed no interest in Sarah's food discovery. Sarah felt that she had put in so much effort, but Ben's attitude made it seem as if she had contributed nothing. Her initial excitement over finding food was instantly crushed. She then cracked open one of the sea snails and began eating it raw. Moving into day 12, Ben completely gave up on making fire. He told Sarah, "We'll probably have to get used to living without fire." Sarah, however, thought the lenses from her diving mask could focus sunlight. She removed the lenses and attempted to start a fire using the focused light. The lenses concentrated the sunlight into a small spot, generating heat up to 232 degrees Celsius 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Soon, the fire-starting materials began to smoke. Ben picked up the fire starter and blew hard. Finally, they managed to get a fire going. Sarah was absolutely ecstatic. She felt incredibly proud of herself. "Proud of myself, I'm gonna flaunt my feathers." Ben casually remarked that starting a fire wasn't a big deal. His words instantly dampened Sarah's excitement. Moving into day 13, around 9 a.m., Ben went into the water searching for lobsters and big fish. After some time searching, Ben spotted a large yellowtail snapper. He slowly moved closer, adjusted his aim, and struck. However, the snapper was too agile. Darting away in an instant, Ben had to keep searching for another target. A hungry Sarah saw Ben returning empty-handed. She grabbed her diving mask and began searching for prey herself. After a careful search, Sarah found a large clawed lobster. A chase ensued underwater, but she finally managed to catch it. Soon, they were enjoying roasted lobster. Sarah ate happily, savoring every bite. Moving into day 16, the two went into the ocean to find food together. Their teamwork was improving. Their relationship was also becoming more harmonious. Ben not only caught another large lobster, but also grabbed a giant sea snail. He wasn't even sure what it was called. Sarah was overjoyed by the haul. She couldn't stop smiling. That night, they sat by the fire, chatting and getting to know each other better. Moving into day 18, Ben studied the map. They were still about 11,265 meters from the extraction point. They began repairing the leaking lifeboat. First, they completely took it apart. They tied together the usable sections, then reinflated it. They also cut down some small trees to reinforce it into a new raft. Moving into day 21, they checked the map one last time to confirm their escape route. To reach the extraction point, Ben and Sarah had to travel 8,056 meters across the Atlantic Ocean. They needed to avoid strong winds and large waves that could throw them overboard. The shortest route passed through a dangerous area filled with red mangroves and deadly yellowtail fish hiding in the shallows. In these open waters, sharks were also lurking. Around 8 a.m., they set sail towards the rescue point. Before long, they entered a shark-infested zone. Fortunately, they avoided being attacked. They successfully dodged a potential shark feast. As they reached a diving zone, they noticed their raft was leaking again. Something had punctured it. They had no choice but to swim the rest of the way, navigating through waters filled with yellowtail fish and sharks. They managed to avoid attacks. However, both were stung by multiple jellyfish. Once ashore, they checked the map again. The extraction point was still far away. Without a raft, they had to swim. They started swimming at 9 a.m., finally reaching the rescue zone around 11 a.m. Just then, sharks approached. Luckily, the rescue boat arrived just in time. They successfully completed the challenge. Ben lost 2,266 pounds in 21 days. Sarah lost 724 pounds. They boarded the rescue boat, successfully completing the challenge. The two celebrated their victory with joy. After the final assessment, Ben lost 2,266 pounds over the 21 days. Sarah lost 724 pounds over the 21 days.